We all know that sleep plays a crucial role in our energy levels and therefore our productivity. So if you are someone who is struggling with their sleep and perhaps feels like they get a lot of interrupted sleep that is affecting their productivity negatively, I want to share a strategy with you today to help you take back control of your sleep cycle and your energy levels so that you can start getting more done. Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. If this is your first time with me, I would like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet, and I help busy and ambitious women plan for a balanced and successful life. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is very important for many of us in order to help us understand and take control of our personal energy cycles so that we have more energy to put towards the things that are going to be productive in our lives. So today's video is actually really specifically for a very specific type of woman who is struggling with interrupted sleep. And so I just want to kind of say that on the outset that this video may not be for everyone. The strategy I'm going to be talking about today is maybe not for everyone. However, I do think that if you do not struggle with the same issue, it's nice to have this information because I often think that we come across people all the time, specifically like other women, that we do find have these sorts of sleep issues. And I think it's really wonderful if we have the information to share with other people. Like, this is why I do what I do, right? To help other women, to help empower you, give you strategies and information. So maybe this sleep strategy isn't something that is for you today, but I do think it's worth it to kind of watch through this video, learn about it so you can share it with other people. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about what this sleep strategy is all about. And really, this is something that I ended up researching and looking into because it was something that I struggled with. Okay, so this is my experience, and tell me if this sounds like you. When I go to sleep, I don't necessarily have a hard time falling asleep, but I go to sleep and then I will be asleep for maybe about a chunk of like 4 hours. Then after that 4 hours, I may wake up. And when I wake up, it's not just like a groggy in the middle of the night wake up where, like, let's say you wake up because maybe you have to go to the bathroom, right? So you go to the bathroom and you come back and then you fall right back to sleep, right? It's not like that. After this 4 hour block of time, I will feel pretty awake, right? But it's the middle of the night, right? So looking at this like it's a problem, right? I would find ways to try to make myself go back to sleep, right? So I might read, I might look online, maybe online shop. That's something I would often do in the middle of the night. I also am someone who, I might like watch a show or something like that on my phone or on my iPad or something like that with my headphones on so I don't disrupt, other people in my house. I very often will wake up in the middle of the night after this block of time and then have like some really great idea for like a blog post or a YouTube video. And so I'll go over to my office and I'll write that blog post or write out that video script, or maybe it's like a product idea, maybe it's like a funnel idea. I might have some like great idea in the middle of the night and I will go ahead and I will brain dump it all out or do the blog post, schedule it up, that sort of stuff. Maybe it takes me about like 2 hours. Then I come back to bed and then I can fall asleep again. Okay. Another thing that I might do in the middle of the night is I do tend to, when I wake up in the middle of the night, this is another time where I'll try to do something useful and I will usually put on my headphones if I don't already have them on and listen to like a guided meditation. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of mindset work, and the meditation may also help me to get back to sleep, right? So sleep for 4 hours, wake up for a few hours, and be energized enough to like do things, but be limited in what I can do because it's the middle of the night or very, very early in the morning. And then I fall back asleep for like another block of like 3 to 4 hours. Okay. So it's sleep, awake for a little while, sleep some more, right? And so for a while, this was happening to me, right? It's still something that happens to me. And for a while, I was feeling like, oh no, I'm having a problem with my sleep, right? I'm having interrupted sleep. I'm sleeping for a little while and then I'm waking up and I can't get myself to go back to sleep, right? So I'm sitting here thinking that there's something wrong with my sleeping, right? And doing research into this, I discovered a few things. One of the things that I kind of already knew for a while was that our REM cycles are about 3 hours long, right? So when we go to sleep, if we go into a REM cycle, once we're actually asleep, that takes about 3 hours. So it always made sense to me why I was waking up at about 4 hours after I've gone to sleep. Because if we think like, okay, we go to sleep, we fall asleep, it takes a little bit of time for us to get into REM, then I'll be in a complete REM cycle, and then I wake up. And it's kind of like a gentle wake up. So it's maybe about 4 hours in total for that whole cycle to go through for me to wake back up. And that's why I thought I was so awake, was because we know this already. Science already knows this, that if you complete a REM cycle, you are more awake. When we wake up in the middle of a REM cycle, that's when we're groggy, right? So if you wake up in the morning or any time and you feel super groggy and tired, it's because you were interrupted in a REM cycle. So that is what I thought was going on. I just thought like, okay, I'm finishing a REM cycle. And so that's why I feel awake enough to do things, but it's not enough, ultimately it's not enough sleep for me for me to have energy throughout the day. So I have to like spend this little bit of energy so that I can go ahead and fall back asleep. So that was one thing that I learned was the REM cycle. So that's what I thought was going on with me personally, was that I was just being interrupted somehow after a REM cycle, or I was just naturally waking up after a REM cycle. Now, doing more research into this more recently, I actually learned that humans have been sleeping in a very similar pattern to this for millennia. So let's take a step back. This idea that we have that when we go to sleep, we should be sleeping for a full night of 8 hours, right? 8 to 10 hours or whatever it is, depending on your age. Maybe it's like 6 to 8 hours, depending on what your age is and what amount of sleep you need. We have this idea that we should be going to sleep and staying asleep all night. But actually, that concept is something that was developed during the Industrial Revolution, right? So before that, so we're talking about like 100 years plus at this point, is how long we've been trying to do this 8 hours of sleep at night thing. Before that, and for a majority of time that humans have been in existence on the planet, humans all over the globe, right, for thousands of years, have been sleeping in what is known as a biphasic sleep schedule. So biphasic meaning 2 phases, right? So this is something that they know in history was something that was done for a very long time. So we're not just talking about recent history right before the Industrial Revolution. We're talking about like thousands and thousands of years ago, like ancient Greeks, and scientists and anthropologists, even believe that like our ancient ancestors, right? So like maybe we think like cavemen and things like that. We slept, when we lived more in like a tribal unit, we slept biphasically because when we didn't have like communities and really good houses and things like that we have now, right? Our like first world amenities sort of things. It would have made sense for like ancient humans to sleep for a little bit of time, then wake up in the middle of the night to like make sure everything was safe, you know what I mean? And then go back to sleep, right? And even in like slightly more modern times, right? When life was a little bit more manual and not so like automatic, right? You would maybe wake up in the middle of the night because you needed to tend to the fire, or you would wake up in the middle of the night if you were a farmer because you needed to go check on your flock, or maybe a woman would wake up in the middle of the night because she needed to like start chopping vegetables and get like, I don't know, like a broth going so that breakfast would be ready once, the morning came and people were awake and needed to eat, right? So there were many reasons why humans, evolved or developed, right, this idea of this biphasic sleep cycle. It seems to be a byproduct of our evolution and the way that we've worked for the majority of our time on the planet, right? So we would go to sleep for a block of time of like 4 hours. We'd wake up for like 2 to 3 hours and be active, and then go back to sleep and kind of finish our evening off, and then wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and doing the rest of the things. So I'm telling you this because I think there are a lot of us out there who, like me, thought that I had a sleeping problem because I was waking up after 4 hours and then feeling awake and then having energy to spend. But this is obviously very natural for humans to have this sort of a sleep cycle. And so there are 2 big things that I want you to take away from what I'm telling you, and using this biphasic sleep as an advantage for you, right? As a strategy that you should use. If this is already your natural sleep pattern, I think we need to be embracing our natural energy patterns and our natural rhythms, right? And planning with this instead of trying to treat this the way I was treating it, like a problem that needed to be solved, right? We should actually be utilizing this time more strategically, right? So how are we going to do this? Number one, by understanding that this is natural. So if you are someone who sleeps for that block of time, then is up and then needs a second block of sleep, right, for the night, this is completely normal and natural. So the first thing I want you to know is there's nothing wrong with you. This is not a problem that needs to be solved. This isn't something that's creating a problem for you, right? It's completely natural. And we need to work with this, not work against it. So we don't want to try to change ourselves. We want to accept ourselves just as we are and use this as an advantage for us. Use this sleep strategy, this biphasic sleep strategy as an advantage for us. Number two, this means that we are going to need to have some sort of a plan for what we are going to do when we wake up in the middle of the night, right? So like I kind of did this naturally, right? Like I said, I started off trying to like do things to kind of make myself go back to sleep, like reading a book or maybe watching some shows. And I know a lot of people will probably think like, oh, you shouldn't be like, reading on your phone or watching shows or things like that at night because the blue light and it'll keep you up and it'll mess with your circadian rhythm. Okay, let me tell you guys some other science that maybe you're not familiar with. More recent research that's been done on like blue light and our devices and how it affects our circadian rhythm have essentially shown that using your phone, your devices at night does not mess with your circadian rhythm. Watching TV, if you have a TV on, does not mess with your circadian rhythm. They actually said that the light that's coming off of our devices, there's not enough nits of the blue light to actually be affecting our circadian rhythm. So if you like have been someone who's like, oh, I shouldn't be, on my devices at night, right? You've been avoiding them, or you've kind of been following this trend, which is to put your devices away at night. Look, I understand that using your devices can keep you up longer, right? That's the problem with them. But the problem is not light. It's not the light keeping you awake. They've pretty much dispelled this now. So just be aware of that. So like I said, I would try to solve this problem by using up some energy so I'd go back to sleep, right? Doing things that might relax me. So I was reading, maybe watching a show. As I had mentioned, I eventually started utilizing this. I'm like, well, let's use this time productively, right? And so I would write blog posts or do a little bit of work in the middle of the night, right? Things that I could do quietly so that I'm not disrupting others, but actually using my time wisely, right? And of course, I'd also do things like a meditation, right? So that I was doing like my mindset work for the day, but like really early in the morning, like just super early in the morning, right? So I could do my mindset work, but in the middle of the night, right? So think about, if this is you, think about what the activities are that you could be doing, right? I know people who do this and like get up and do their laundry in the middle of the night, right? Who maybe use this time as their quiet time, like for devotional or reflection. Just because you're going to use this as a small little block of time, almost like as an inverse nap. Like in the daytime, we might take a nap just to kind of recharge ourselves. This is almost the inverse of it at night, right? So it's how can we be using this time where we are awake and alert productively? Right? So think about those things that maybe you don't have time for in your day. Could you be doing them in the middle of the night? Like between these two phases of sleep, between your first sleep and your second sleep, right? During this period of time, which I didn't mention this before, but this has been historically, this period of time of wakefulness between the two blocks of sleep has been called the watch, right? So like your night watch, I guess. So you have your first sleep, that's what they called it, a first sleep, a watch where you'd be awake, and then your second sleep. Right? I almost feel like a hobbit, like first breakfast, second breakfast, right? But they had these terms that they actually used for them. So what could you be doing during this period of time where you are awake? Maybe other people in your family are not, right? What could you be doing during this time to actually utilize that energy that you have? Because this is part of our natural energy cycle. And I personally believe that like if we're just laying in bed doing nothing, trying to force ourselves back to sleep, again, we're trying to force ourselves to change our natural energy rhythms when maybe we should just be going with them, like just go with the flow. So I want you to think about this. If this is you, what could you be doing in the middle of the night? I say we utilize the time that we have, right? And that way we are spending that little bit of energy and then able to go back to sleep, have a second REM cycle, and then we wake up in the morning and we've already checked things off our to-do list. How fabulous does that sound, right? So that is what I wanted to let you guys know about this biphasic sleep strategy, how we're going to lean into it if it's our natural tendency. If it's not your natural tendency, like I said at the beginning, this may not be for you. don't try to make it happen for you, because I think we need to embrace what our natural cycles are. But if this is not you, maybe you know someone that is like this, and maybe you share this information with them or share this video with them to help them to understand how they could be working with their natural energy cycles to get a little bit done in the middle of the night. And it doesn't even have to be productive things to do. Like I said, it could just be the things that you wish you had a little bit more time for during your day. Well, guess what? You have this time. It was given to you. It's just at night. So as long as you can do the thing without light outside, we've got lights in our homes, as long as you can do it without waking everyone else up, then I say, let's start using this time productively instead of shaming ourselves and trying to force ourselves back to sleep. We're going to use the energy that we have when we have it. Okay? So that is the strategy. Let me know if this is you down in the comments. Let me know if this is how you sleep. Let me know if you're also like me, who I inadvertently started hacking this time for myself because I realized that I wasn't really just going to be able to easily change it. And so I just started using it productively. And I think knowing this information helps to empower you to be like, you know what, I really should just go ahead and start the laundry in the middle of the night, or I'll just go ahead and read, a book in the middle of the night, or do my devotional in the middle of the night, or do a meditation, or even a workout, right? Maybe you're probably not going to want to go sit on a treadmill for an hour, but maybe you could, right? You could. No one's really stopping you from doing that. But maybe you'll do a yoga or a stretching routine or something like that, right? Maybe you'll go ahead and do a little bit of organization in your closet, right? Or start meal prepping, something like that, right? There's plenty of things that we can do. And actually, I think this week, I'm going to use this theme this week in my social media platforms. So probably over on my blog and over on Instagram. If you're not following me there at MissTrenchcoat, definitely do. My blog is strangecharmed.com. I'm going to come up with maybe some lists or checklists of things that we could do, some ideas of how we could spend this night watch time, right? Productively. Get some things done, check some things off our list, or make progress on our goals, right? So keep an eye out on my other platforms this week for some more ideas, okay? And I want to hear what you do in the middle of the night if that's you, okay? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's learned to just go with the flow on this. So let me know how you spend your time in the comments below, okay? If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you want more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me at MissTrenchcoat on Instagram. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.